Finally, I'm able to update you guys. I would have done it sooner if it weren't for those FBI bastards showing up. Right now, me, Carl, and Nick are at a shitty motel. It smells awful, but at least there's Wi-Fi, but I can't be on for very long. So, a few days after my last post, these black SUVs with tinted windows came into town. Nick and I were working a shift with Mr. Formaggio. Mrs. Formaggio was out getting us ingredients. It was the middle of me and Nick's shift when one of them parked in front of the store. We also saw that more of them seemed to be stopping and parking in front of other stores, but not just other stores, homes as well. Two burly-looking bald men stepped out and entered our store. Both were wearing business suits, and one of them had on a pair of reflective sunglasses. "Can we help you?" Mr. Formaggio asked. The two men showed us their badges. "We're with the FBI, and we wanted to ask you folks some questions," the one with the sunglasses said. When he said that, Nick and I exchanged a concerned look. Thankfully, neither of them noticed. "What sort of questions?" Mr. Formaggio replied. "A few days ago, we received reports of strange lights that could be seen hovering over your town. The reports were made by people in neighboring towns. Do you happen to know anything about that?" Mr. Formaggio did know about Zoll. He ended up encountering him the day after my last post. He nearly had a heart attack when he saw him, but Carl was able to convince him that Zoll meant no harm. "Can't say that I do," he replied. "Is that right? Well, I'm sure you folks won't mind if we take a look around, right? Oh, and I'm sure I don't need to inform you that you can be punished for lying to the FBI. I'm well aware of that. Can I get you anything?" "No, thank you. We're very busy," he said. Then he and his partner left. Now, we were pretty pissed. The reason being is that we've been trying to get the government involved to deal with these weird creatures in town for years now, but they never responded. It's like freaky monsters that can rip you apart? Whatever. Lights in the sky? Oh, we'll be over ASAP. So, yeah, I'm sure you could understand why we were just a little salty. Anyway, when they left, we immediately called Carl and told him about the situation. He was at home at the time, and he told us that he'd warned Zoll right away. He also told us that he wanted to place an order, of course. In this case, it was 2 supreme pizzas and an orange soda. Fuck, they're after Zoll. Who knows what they'll do to him if they find him, Nick said once we were off the phone with Carl. Relax, they don't even know about it. If we keep quiet, everything will be fine. And besides, if they stay overnight, they may be more likely to help with our monster problem. And they may be after the ship, above all else, Mr. Formaggio said. Those bastards want to see the inside of the ship before I do. We can't let that happen. We need to get them out of town as soon as possible, I said. What about making them take care of our monster problem? Nick asked. Oh, yeah. I guess I got caught up in the excitement and forgot. Do you think Nick and I should head over to Carl's right now? I asked Mr. Formaggio. It might look a little suspicious to head there right now. I think we should give it at least an hour. Nick, take out the trash and tell us what you see while you're out there. I took some more calls while Nick took out the trash. When he got back, he informed us that there were far more SUVs than we originally thought. More must have arrived while the men were talking with us. Nick said at least 100 more seemed to have shown up. What really put us on edge was that he saw some of the government agents start to get into arguments with store owners. When they did, they would close the blinds to those stores. Shit. I hope that doesn't happen to Carl, I said. He doesn't trust people involved with the government, which is ironic given his potential background. I don't know much about it, and I haven't asked out of politeness, but I've heard rumors around town that he has some military background. If he does, I haven't found any records of him serving, and he may have a distrust of the government due to his supposed service. Anyway, we had a small rush, which made that hour go by pretty quick. Once it died down, me and Nick drove up to Carl's. Along the way, we saw some government officials stepping out of homes, one of which seemed to be wiping some blood off of his face. We arrived at Carl's to see two SUVs parked out in front of his fence. "Well, this can't be good," Nick said as we got out. He walked while I used my crutches. We went into his yard to see him surrounded by 4 agents. His hands were cuffed behind his back, and one of the agents had his foot on his back. Nick was about to call out, but I shushed him, then gestured for him to sneak around and go into Carl's house. The agents were too focused on Carl to notice, and I would have just slowed Nick down. He gave me Carl's pizzas and soda to hold, then made his way to the front door. He made sure to keep in the grass so that he wouldn't make any noise. I heard the agents yelling at Carl, asking him about the ship. Carl responded that he didn't know and that they could go fuck themselves. One responded by grinding his shoe onto his temple. It was at that moment I decided to do something. I figured Carl would prefer pizza over the soda, so I chucked the 2-liter at the agent's head, who had his foot on Carl's temple. The bottle burst open, soaking his head and suit in orange soda. Some even got on the other agents, and they stared daggers at me. "Who the fuck do you think you are doing that to me?" the one I threw the bottle at asked. "I'm the pizza man, and that was for you assholes taking so long. We've been trying to contact you for years, and now you show up and start terrorizing us, so quit whining about being a little sticky. I could put you in prison for what you just did. Is that right? Why don't you stick around for a bit? This area is very active at night." The other agents were about to move in on me, but the soda-soaked agent stopped them. "You say that you threw that bottle because we took so long. But could the real reason be that this man is a friend of yours?" he asked, pointing at Carl. "Of course he is. We all know each other in this town, and Carl is a valuable customer. Look, whatever you want to know, he obviously doesn't know it, so get lost. I'll even pay for your dry cleaning. That way you won't be laughed at when you get back to your office or wherever you government people go when you get through with shit like this. We aren't leaving until we get what we want." "What branch of government are you guys with anyway?" "We're with a branch that investigates paranormal and supernatural occurrences." "So, like Men in Black?" "No, we aren't the goddamn Men in Black or the motherfucking X-Files. We were around before that movie, or that show was," he growled, taking me by surprise. The agents began trying to calm him down. "Relax. Deep breaths," one of them said to him. He breathed in deeply, then slowly exhaled. "No, the branch we serve under doesn't really have a name. We've taken to calling it the Mystery Branch," he said to me after regaining his composure. "Wow. How many episodes of Scooby-Doo did you guys have to watch to come up with that one?" His eye twitched at the statement, and I thought he was going to go on another rant, but he kept his composure. "The name isn't official, and I would watch your mouth if I were you, or something may happen to Carl here. Well, obviously he doesn't know anything, so why are you people still here? You expect us to believe that? Just look at this man. He's a fucking loon. Crazy tends to attract this kind of stuff. That loon is my friend. And you say that crazy attracts this kind of stuff? But what would you describe the people as who look for this kind of stuff?" "Touché. Is he still awake?" he asked, looking down at Carl. Then he took his foot off his temple. Carl moaned in pain, but managed to speak. "Fuck you," Carl said, then spat on the agent's shoe. He glared at Carl. "This young man is a friend of yours, correct? I wonder if you'd be more willing to talk if it was him at risk," he asked, pulling a gun out, then aiming it at me. "Shooting a guy in crutches. You must be very proud of yourself," I said. "Shut up. Now I'm going to give you here until the count of 10 before I shoot your dick off," the agent yelled, aiming the gun at my crotch. "Not my dick," I yelled. "Then he needs to talk. 1, 2, 3, 4. Before he got to 10, we heard several gunshots. The agents fell to the ground, rolling around in pain while clutching their legs. The head of the group dropped his gun. Luckily, he didn't end up shooting me out of reflex. "Nice shot, Nick," I called to him. He was standing on Carl's porch with one of his guns in his hand. "You sneaky little shits," the agent hissed. Carl rolled over and snatched the keys from the agent's belt, then unlocked his cuffs. He knocked out the agent with one hard punch. The others tried drawing their guns, but he knocked them up as well. "Are you guys okay, given the circumstances?" Nick asked, after running to us. "I've been better. Impressed your aim has gotten so good." "Yeah, those lessons you gave me really paid off." "Where's Zoll?" "When you guys called, I told him to hide until I knew those government bastards left town. I don't know where he is, but we need to leave town. More of those agents will probably come here." "What? What about the others in town?" I asked. "They'll be fine. They don't know anything." "Shouldn't we call them first?" "No, I heard them say that they wanted to put the town on lockdown. They'll probably confiscate people's phones soon. Speaking of phones, get rid of yours." "Seriously?" "Yes, you too, Nick." Nick sighed, then smashed his phone. I was about to do the same thing when I realized something. I accidentally grabbed one of my old phones. "Shit," I said. "Wait, that may actually help us. If we go somewhere with Wi-Fi, you can use your phone to access the internet. As long as we don't plaster our last names and are careful, we'll be safe. I even have an old laptop that we could use," Carl said, then ran inside his home. He came back out with his laptop and several bags. "What's in these?" Nick asked when Carl gave him one. "Just some supplies ready in case I need to move quickly. Now let's go. It's going to be dark soon." We took Carl's car, then sped down the road from his home. The road led directly into town. He was going to take the next exit out of town when we saw several SUVs blocking the exit. "Fuck, we're too late," Carl cursed under his breath. Multiple agents were in front of the SUVs. One of them had a megaphone. "Turn back and go into your home or store," the agent called to us. "Shit, what do we do?" I asked. "Wait," Carl said, pointing to the sky. We saw some heavy storm clouds and a streak of lightning up ahead. Rain began pouring from the sky. The agent began yelling at us through the rain. He told us if we weren't going to move, we'd be forced to. He and the other agents were going to get back in their vehicles when one of them yelled and pointed. In the sky, there were at least a dozen flying creatures. They were joined by 20 returned and several of the long-necked monsters. They screamed when the return attacked. A few agents got killed by them, but the others managed to shoot and kill the returned. That was when the other creatures joined in. The long-necked one pounced, then gobbled most of the other agents. It accidentally knocked one of the SUVs out of the way in the process. One agent managed to get by it, but was torn apart and eaten by the flying creatures. Not the way out I was hoping for, but I'll take it, Carl said, speeding through the gap of the vehicles. The creatures were too busy eating to notice us. We didn't stop for 3 hours, all the while checking to make sure we weren't followed. We've been on the run for over a week now. We only stopped to sleep at the shittiest motels. Carl carries a lot of cash on him, and we've made sure to use aliases. We've also been making sure to take turns keeping watch. By typing this, I'm sure you can guess it's my turn to keep watch tonight. I don't know what we're going to do. We have no way of contacting anyone in town without being tracked, and we have no idea when or if the government guys will leave. I asked Carl what we should do, and he just told me that he knows a guy that we can see. He won't elaborate no matter how much Nick and I ask. The worst part of all of this is that I never saw inside of Zoel's ship, but I hope he's okay. For now, I better get off. Since we've been on the run, I tend to get paranoid if I'm online for too long, but I felt like you all should be updated. I can't log off as the pizza man right now, I guess, thinking to myself. So, this is Pete logging off. See you all next time.